Wow, it's bright out here. Sorry about the squinting, but I want to show you now our plan for sheep barns, sheep sheds. There will be one here behind me, and then at about a 90-degree angle, there will be another one. There will be some runs, little tiny paddocks, and then out on the rest of the property, we'll split that up into like 2.5 acre chunks, paddocks. I thought we would just let them go roam and eat, but my wife, whose master's is in wildlife biology, wisely pointed out that if you do that and you don't sort of constrain them to one spot or a smaller area, they'll eat all the dessert, the fun things, the things that may not be the healthiest or that we want to grow back, and then they won't eat some of the other things that we may want cut back. So anyway, we're going to divide this up into smaller spaces. But first, before the 15th, when I go pick up the sheep, I got to get these built. So they're going to be 3.5-inch Schedule 40 pipe frames. And then the roof of each is going to be comprised of 14 250-watt solar panels. There will be a door, lots of ventilation options, but we can also close them up. And in order to do this, because the roof is going to be sloped slightly, I've got to put in the uprights, and then the top rail from side to side is going to be sloped, and where that pipe meets the vertical, I've got to do a bird mouth. So let me show you that. If I were to just butt these pipes up to each other and weld them, I would really only get contact here and here. I'd have a lot of fill to do. So what I want to do is curve the cut on each end so that it mates up pretty snugly with this, at least close enough that I can go through with a pass or two and weld it without using a bunch of filler material. And this cut, if you don't know, everybody knows, sorry, but it's a bird mouth. So when you cut it, it creates kind of a shape like that and nestles around the upright. Now I've got a bunch of those to do, and it's fairly easy to do if you just want this and this side to be even. But I don't. This is a little exaggerated, but it will be like that. So this side of the bird mouth, the cut has to be more shallow than this side, which has to be deeper. And the way I can do that is with some math, but I don't do math like that. So I'm going to cut one and grind it until it fits well. And then I'm going to use this piece. If you watch my video on Victoria, the vintage cab-over engined Ford truck, this is a piece of 4-inch Victoria exhaust pipe that I cut down, part of the vertical stack, and I will then take what I figure out to be a good fit, transfer it to this and cut it on this, and now this will be my guide. And the deeper side, this angle here should be the opposite of the angle up there. What is that, the converse? Whatever, the opposite. So if I have my guide here and I trace it out on the pipe, I should be able to rotate it 180 degrees over there and use it to cut so that on the other end, the bottom will be the deeper cut and the top will be the shallower cut. And then hopefully the two will mate. I'll make a little plywood template with some 2x4 boards. Then I can clamp the upright and the cross rail to, and then weld it together, and then I'll stand those up. Hey, perfect timing for the compressor. So when you do this, you need to mark the top and the bottom 180 degrees off. And now I'm just going to cut a trowel cut. So I'll clean those up and then put it on a piece of pipe and see what it looks like. Well, damn you. I probably ought to do some math. So anyway, I've got an upright like that. And then over here, another upright. And the difference between these two is 12 inches, just a foot. And the distance across here is 10 feet. So I've got that pipe, and I need to figure out that angle or that angle. I think that's math. Or Google. Sorry, not Google, DuckDuckGo. I sort of guessed that my 14-year-old daughter could have figured this out for me, but it's been a long time for me. So anyway, I used an online calculator, that angle being 90 degrees, this being 12 inches long, this one being 120 inches long. So 84.26 degrees is what I'm looking for. That exercise was actually probably worthwhile because I am not quite there. That'll save me a bit of walking back and forth. So I've got the angle gauge set to just about 85 degrees, and then this axis lined up with this aluminum bar, and you'll see I'm not quite there. So let me do a little bit of grinding and get close, and then that'll save me a walk. A little bit of grinding, and now that looks pretty good. I may not have this profile perfectly shaped, but I think I'm pretty close. So I will grab a scrap of the 3.5 inch pipe I'm using for the sheep barn, scribe on there, cut it, check the fit, and then hopefully I'll be ready to cut all those pipes. I have my template cut, and I just traced around this with the soapstone. On both sides. So let me do a test cut with the plasma cutter and then see how this fits up around that and see what I need to tweak. Just looking at it, it looks like I might need to do a little more of a curve, but I won't know until I check it. Oh man. So as far as fit goes, that's actually pretty darn good. That'll be just fine for welding. I'll have to stand that up and check the angle, but if that's close, then I can cut all these tomorrow and start welding together the sheep barns. Well, like usual, I'm working on the ground. This will be the template, the clamping template I can use for clamping together the two joints. So the vertical will get clamped against that, the post, the horizontal rail against this. This board is 4 feet wide, so there would be, sometimes making these videos is a bit of a pain because I have to stop and think about what I'm doing. But sometimes that's really helpful because exactly that, I have to stop and think about what I'm doing. In this case, I had put that board across here and clamped it, and I had measured it based on what I had calculated in my brain to be the right drop from one end to the other for my 85-degree angle over here. And as soon as I was talking and explaining that in that last little clip, I realized, whoa, I had miscalculated. So I paused, get a redo. I could have just started over and you would have never known, but I want to be real here. Anyway, I have marked a new, hopefully correct line. I will clamp this board along that line, screw it from behind, and then I will cut this in half, and that'll give me the clamping guides for both sides of the posts and rail. Super loud because I have to run the generator. Anyway, I did this cut. Here are my jigs, my clamping jigs. I only need to make 2 of these top rail side assemblies, one for this end, one to go here, and then one there and there. for the 2 sheep barns. The hay shed actually will have a flat top and be covered with a tarp. And that is Missie. Missie is the MCI, so hence the Missie if you squint and have a beer, maybe, or a glass of wine. Anyway, Missie is a 1974 MCI MC-7 in which we live out here. We do have a house, but we rent the house out usually on Airbnb. That is the chicken coop. We've got 38 chickens. We have bunnies in the little building to the left of me. And here's the important thing. So I measured across the top there, and I measured across the bottom, and I'm within about 1/8 of an inch just with the clamps, so that's pretty good. I'll tweak a little bit, make sure that they are in plane. This way, which they are not. I don't know if you can see, but this front one, I need to pick up this end a bit just to make sure that they are aligned, and then I can do the welding, glue the metal together. Now maybe you can see that they are aligned. It worked out perfectly. I found a good use for that piece I cut off the end. Get the welder out and do the welding. I do have a hose out here, right here, just to wet everything down and make sure I've got water available in case anything catches on fire. Good morning. I've got 2 end pieces welded up and propped up temporarily so that I can put in the top rails. I need to level this one though, and let me show you a tool. I bought this years ago, and it has been just one of the handiest little things. I take it every time I go pick up a bus. It's helpful for, I've used it for helping to change tires, moving things that I just can't quite shift or move myself. And it's super tiny. This little thing, so there's my hand, but it's a 1/2 ton. So what's that, 1,000 pounds? But it's made by Harrington. You might be able to find other brands of it, but this thing is absolutely worth its weight in gold or whatever I spent for it. I can't even remember how much I paid for it, but super handy. I've got bigger come-alongs, but when I just need a little bit of help, like here, man, this thing is just absolutely worth it. I highly recommend it. A bit of a late update. You can see I made some progress, but I am doing all of this myself. So let me stand out. Now I have this chain hoist in here because this thing will shift while I'm down on the ground. The boom may shift a little bit or drop a bit, and I don't have Ruby with me today to regulate this, so that way with the chain hoist from ground level I can adjust the height of that crossbar while I weld it into place. So time to run down and do some welding. I have my helper back, thank goodness. So all right, anyway, I'm gonna put the phone down and guide her, and we're gonna get some more work done on this thing. So these will sit over the top of the poles, these rails, which are 3.5-inch pipe. I know that's loud, but I'm cutting a bunch of these. Those brackets that I cut with the plasma cutter go here. Ruby is down there to make sure there's no fire. So I'll weld these up here, bolt through both sides, and these are secure. Oh, the welding blanket is just to make sure I don't get any BB splatter on top of the panels. This is going to wrap up this portion of the sheep barn build videos. This gives you an idea of what we're doing. I've got side rails to put in, a center post to put in, but I wanted to be able to get the tractor in there. So solar panels are going on the roof. They're actually going to make up the roof, and then the sides are the Core 10 just bare steel that we will make rusty. So it'll be pretty cool. I will show more of this in the next one. Thanks all. Appreciate you being here. Like always, have a great day.